Welcome back to Beards and Brews. Hey, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and follow no matter where you're listening. Not only does it help us out, but you'll know exactly when we have another one brewing. Gentlemen, it's been a while since our last movie, so let's just pull out the big guns with Fateful Findings.
Yeah, the biggest gun. This is how Kazoo Kid got made, alright? This is what it was.
Well, the reason why I call this a big gun, because I have seen one of Neil Breen's other films, his first one, Double Down, and it's just like a huge, it's almost like a disheveled mess, but there's a little bit of charm in there because it's just absolutely just nonsensical. This is also absolutely ridiculous, but it's still kind of charming because it's so nonsensical.
This was my first run-in with Mr. Breen. It is ridiculous, I'll give you that. This is absolutely nonsensical. I'm going to debate you all the way on whether or not this has the least bit of charm. This was awful.
What was awful about the way that these people acted, Chandler? They acted beyond natural.
I think that's a little too much. I'll give them as far as they acted.
Did they? They can mark that off on their resume, I guess, if no one double checks their past.
It's kind of like the guy who's like one piece of pizza loaves, like, oh, nobody's going to claim it? Oh, I guess it's all mine. Scribbles Fateful Findings on his CV.
Oh, okay. Is this a reference to the sheer amount of stock footage that is used throughout this film?
Oh, bless all the filmmakers who have to use stock footage to pad that shit out.
This is like if AI decided to make a film. Not Allen Iverson, but artificial intelligence. It's just like, all right, we've got all this free stock footage. Let's mush it together and maybe put this guy in a few scenes together so it looks like he's running things, and then almost show a titty 3 or 4 times.
Almost, but not quite. You know, but then again, almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, so I guess that's okay.
The only thing for me that could have made this movie better could have been Neil Breen +1. Is I want this shit, but with Muppets.
Oh my god. But Neil Breen's still Neil Breen, right?
Oh, dude, yeah, but he's like got this fuzzy overlay on him.
I love that idea because there will definitely be a pool scene with Miss Piggy.
Facts.
That's what I was going to say. Are there enough female Muppets to cast all of these? Because there is only one other male character in this movie as far as I can remember. Just remembered a second. There's Boobs' husband. And there's the psychiatrist who I didn't know was a psychiatrist until the third time we saw him.
Don't forget Baklava Kidnapper.
Oh, well, I mean,
yeah.
He was wearing a mask. You know, you never know. That could be a woman.
True. I mean, even Gonzo dressed up in drag.
No, I had Gonzo squarely in the Boobs' husband category. Like, he should be locked into that spot. I think this is more of an animal kind of guy.
Yes.
I gotta love that guy. Like, we're gonna be totally inconsistent with these characters' names, but there's just one fella who owns a Ferrari, and he's just trying to smash. That fucking guy, he's just like, you're my wife. How about some wifely duties? And she's just like, I wasn't paid enough for anything.
I'm really busy at work.
That kind of thing does kind of make me feel bad as a guy. You know, it's like, okay, they're having some marital issues. I get it. But the fact that she acts by yelling every single line, no matter the inflection, it just could not. No, that's not what it is. It could not.
Yes.
Yeah, it just couldn't. Because, like,
you're tearing him apart, boobies.
It's just like one of those things, like, you know, with something like traumatic happens in public and people don't know how to react to it. That's her acting. She's so loud and just assertive in every moment. People around here are just like, okay, I guess my line is next.
Yeah, the scene where, especially where she's sitting with her husband on the couch and just, there's not really any context given for the scene, but they are talking. I don't even remember what he's saying. Nothing that they say is important, but she is just absolutely yelling her lines.
Yeah.
He is right beside her.
Like, halfway through the movie, I kind of felt like she had something wrong with her, like Tourette's or something. Like, I felt bad for the guy in that regard because, like, no matter what he would say to her, she would just bark at him.
Yeah, and then after she has been propositioned, like, hey, would you like to have a little marital good time? And she turns him down. He goes to polish the 1 square inch of that Ferrari that he is allowed to touch. And she comes in and is like, you'd rather spend all your time with that car than you would with me. And it's, what? What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Which order of these scenes was supposed to come first?
Well, I'm definitely hoping that it was shot in the right order, because she then convinces to fucking pop a cap in his ass for not laying her after she said no to getting laid.
Well, I did ask the missus, like, well, what could possibly have triggered this, like her mood swings and stuff like this? And she takes like one good look at him and is like, well, he is kind of ugly.
Dude, okay. That was something we were discussing, not only with this character, the husband character, the car dad, but with Neil Breen himself. Who was fucking this man?
Oh, yeah. Like, that was a question brought up very quickly. And then later on, there's that one lady who just, like, immediately wants to shag him. And we're just like, no.
Nope.
Everyone in this movie is too attractive to be having sex with Neil Breen, including the balaclava man.
Dude.
Or woman.
Well, I just have to bring up a good point is that there is nudity in this film.
Is there?
The word tasteful could be tossed around if you want, but the thing is, especially with the women, you can definitely tell the amount of nudity that they show is exactly what Neil paid for.
All except the areola nipple area will be shown, but it will not be touched.
But don't worry, ladies, don't worry. You do get to see the entirety of Neil Breen's ass.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, that one was free.
That's definitely him. Just like, and that one's for you, Chan, man.
Yeah, appreciate that.
The only scene shot in high def to where you can count the fucking pubes on his fucking grape sack.
I know, that's so ridiculous, right? Like any other scene, especially like when he's just sitting around with his stupid computers, it's just like slightly out of focus. Like, it's passable, sure. Like it's an indie film, but I'm just like, fuck, like this is where it stops. This is where the asphalt turns into dirt.
He's showing his ass off like it's something special, and it looks like two goddamn raw steakums hanging out there.
Raw, like not all the way frozen, but they've been sitting on the counter for a minute.
Bingo.
I think I just had a revelation here, guys. I think he put this movie together. I don't know about the rest of his filmography. I think he put this together just to piss any man off.
Just any man? He's just like,
any man, like any person that watches this, for the most part, it's going to be ticked off. Like, so many opportunities to see a single boobie, but no, we get the entirety of his back slit.
Gross. But you're totally not wrong. It does strike me as one of those things, as not only does he get the show off, but since there's not quite enough nudity as promised or whatever, he seems like the kind of fella who, like, in the behind the scenes, he's like, yeah, I saw everything.
Oh, dude, okay. You want to talk about seeing everything. That poor goddamn woman who you could tell contractually said, I will do the nude scene with you in the shower, but there will be material between you and I. She goes in the oversized white tee, and he is a buck-ass fucking naked. Ugh.
Well, see, she brought that point up, and he was already naked in the room.
She signed up for a nude scene, not realizing it would be with him, and then she's like, already giving the money back. All right, how much do I have to give back to put on a shirt?
Oh, yeah, then he starts to panic and, like, realizes that his widow's clothes are still in the closet. He's like, I got you, fam.
Oh, my God. Just the whole fact that his first wife is clearly a mail-order bride that is so fucking zooted out of her mind on pills that Neil Breen puts it in the film because he has no other use for it.
Yeah, this whole plotline isn't even mentioned in the synopsis at all. It's actually not only bare bones, but also kind of a lie. The official description goes as, a computer scientist, hyphenated, / novelist, reunites with his childhood friend, hacks into the government, and faces dire and fateful consequences of the mystical actions he obtained as a child. Now, with that floating around in your head, sparking all that imagination, how the fuck do you obtain an action?
Heels, baby.
Yes.
Well, fuck, dude. No wonder his wife's all conked out.
I think I've had another realization, honestly. I think, the pills that the psychiatrist has been giving him this whole time, I think he is hallucinating all of this. He's not actually hacking into the government and international whatever the fuck he's talking about. He just thinks he is.
Oh,
that's
okay. So it's totally like the Truman Show, right? So we have these little hints. That's why the computers aren't on at all or whatever. That's just our sneak peek into reality. He just goes into this room where they leave him alone with his dumbass books and his dumbass computers or whatever. They just let him go in there and taka away, and sometimes he'll just yell at his not wife.
His
Oh my
typing
God.
is so loud and aggressive. I'm hacking into the government.
Max.
Well, that's his excuse, but once more, he sounds like the kind of fella who would type loud just so he can say, "What was it, honey? I'm typing it here."
Like a Jim Carrey fucking skit.
He's just a prick to his wife.
He gets a
All
phone
right.
call from no one that's like, I can't do it right now. I'm terribly busy. Goodbye.
Tap.
Books. I've written so many. And he starts slinging around his encyclopedia collection.
Speaking of big books, what the fuck?
Oh, you mean that thing he got at Gabriel Brothers for like $8? Like that belongs in a movie.
Like, even if we are believing everything that he says, what is that book?
It's a MacGuffin. He's like, this thing looks cool. We're
Yeah,
going to go after it.
100%.
And you're like, hell yeah, we're going to go after it. Proceeds to never, ever, ever show it again.
Yeah, it just pops up periodically in places that have, I guess, significance. Like an old U-Haul place in the middle of the street.
I didn't know that was something we were supposed to be looking for. It just kept popping up. I thought it was like the cube from Hellraiser or something.
No, I
Yeah.
kind of wish it was that important, but no, like, the way this movie's structured, it's not like one arc. It's like these weird loops where, like, ideas pop up and then they resolve themselves way too early, and then Neil Breen realizes, oh, I still have 40 minutes of film to make, so it's like, I gotta jump on something else. Suddenly I'm a hacker.
Yeah, the timeline for this movie isn't straightforward. It's really like Jeremy Bearimy. If any of you guys ever watch The Good Place, you'll get that. If not, you will not.
So the way I saw this movie is a odd snuff film. And you just sparked in my head the thought that perhaps that book is where we should take notes, where we should pay attention. When it shows up, he's giving us a clue about this mail-order bride that he ordered, wed, got addicted to pills. She OD'd. He then took her to the desert and hid the body. After having this small taste of blood, he then went on to kidnap a young woman that he kept in a shed, that he then killed in the forest. It's all here. It's all on film. Watch it.
It's just we got to rearrange the scenes.
You know what? I think that the actresses in this movie were not his victims, but in fact portrayed the victims and they had no clue.
Except for maybe the one in the shed. That shit was a little fucking weird.
Nah, it was a little odd. It was very grainy too. I was just like, why does this look like almost CCTV? Like, what are we looking at here?
Yeah, why is she flinching so hard when she can't act for real? Is she crying? Why are there tears? Neil Breen, what are you doing?
Breen's just like, you better act scared or you're gonna have to do another nude scene with me.
Honestly, if I am ranking the 5 women that we see almost naked in this movie, she's the one that can probably act the most. That might just be because she is in it the least, I think. No, I'm sticking with that. She's the best one. She's still not good, but she's the best one.
I don't know, man. She's flinching pretty fucking hard when he's touching her. And that's not something that you would do for this type of film. These people are given the bare minimum. Even the rest of the time that you see her, it's the bare minimum. This would be entirely, like, Oscar worthy because she is being abused.
Actress that plays the blonde doctor lady, if you were out there and okay, let us know.
Our show's just going to turn into Unsolved Mysteries. What happened to this actress who was slightly nude in this film?
So you guys want to talk about the actual plot line for this movie? Do we want to start from the beginning? 'Cause this movie doesn't go in any kind of like artistic out of chronology kind of way. It just doesn't make any fucking sense.
I feel like if we jumped into it, it'd be kind of harsh. I mean, like, let's kind of like, wet our beaks or it'll be our ruination.
And speaking of ruination, this film is the ruination of film. But also what I've got today is from Stone Brewing Company out of Escondido, California. Just made its big return after several years. This is a double IPA, 8.2% alcohol by volume. Smells especially green. This is what an IPA used to smell like when men were men and you'd see titties in film. Honestly, this is what I remember a double IPA tasting like before the big wave of, the hazy IPAs, the fruited IPAs, all of this. This is like an original style double IPA, just hops and bitterness, green, rich, resinous. It's okay. It's exactly what you would think a double IPA by Stone should taste like, if you know what I mean. It's a little bit too over the top, but it's still not bad.
Well, you mentioned bitterness just briefly. You know what leaves me bitter? This fucking movie.
Absolutely. Right there with you.
Whoa. Okay, the day in the life of a laptop distressor is not embittering to anyone.
Well, we gotta talk about where it all started. I'm just briefly. This movie starts out with this like family moving away from a neighborhood, and the movie has a real hard time communicating movie.
Yes.
And Brady, you and I, we got to watch it together. We thought that he was leaving his sister behind or something, and that was going to come into play later on.
Like, I am really curious about how you two came to that conclusion. Do you think a family is just going to, like, I don't know. I just assumed these two were best friends and the girl was like moving away.
Listen, there were pepperoni rolls and snacks. Things may have been missed.
I wish I would have missed the entirety of this film.
You would have missed the scene where Neil Breen gets to have exciting sex. He walks in the room, you get to see the lady's feet and his feet, and her bra drops, and his whole folded pair of pants falls to the floor.
Yeah, he's a Levi man, by the way.
Well, that's the one thing that me and Neil have in common, I hope.
Well, I think he's from the Los Angeles area, so if you're ever in the neighborhood again, look him up.
All right, so these two kids, we see them in a scene together. The one scene that we have with them together before they get split up, they're going through this meadow, through the forest, whatever, and they find a mushroom, and they put their hands near the mushroom for about 5 seconds of screen time, and then the mushroom disappears, and then there's buried treasure. Guys, what the fuck is this?
Listen, Neil Breen found out that you could have an effect with an edit. He didn't have to do anything. He just had to keep that camera locked the fuck down.
He has discovered editing. Yes, he has. He hasn't gotten good at it, but he discovered that it exists.
He just asked the wifey to come over. He's like, hey, hon, check out this look. Like that Star Trek. And I got beamed.
It's like, oh yeah, that's real nice there. You should put some like little jewels in there, and then they could go in there and they could play games. And he's like, yes, the game of sex.
Oh, God. Now take your pills, honey.
So this buried treasure that they find it's like a shiny little square black rock. It's definitely not a magnet from like the Discovery Zone or something, right?
Yeah, like if you get two together, they don't go clack, 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 and you're like, hell yeah, or anything.
Well, that's why he only has the one.
Well, she has one too. And when they get together...
There's some clack, clack, clacking, eh?
From his... I don't want to say back sack again, but...
Oh, it's Grundle.
No!
You remember those plastic toys that we would have as a kid? Like the ones with like, it'd have like two little arms and a ball on each end, and you would just like clack them back and forth?
Yeah,
That's what his nuts are.
Oh, fuck.
Damn, it just shows like a strong breeze blow. And he's like, Neil Breen! And then there's like a whistling, and you hear like some scratching, like fucking branches on a window. And it's just his balls on the fucking camera.
See, that's
They're
where the
whipping like a windsock.
Oh, no.
That's his prolapse.
No!
What are we going to
All right,
do about this?
we
This
got to
COVID-related?
get back on track here. We got to get back on track. We have talked about this man's scrotum enough.
Well, I was going to say just real fast, that could have been the mythical part. The wind blows, you just hear a wind chime. It's just his nuts.
Oh, like Derek from The Good Place.
God damn it. He's thiever and stuff. Well, there's one thing he didn't thieve, is that he has no clue how to set up any kind of geography. At any time during this movie, you're just in place. Where is that place? It's right there in that place. A good clue at that is, like, he's just walking across the street, but then he shows a shot of other people, like maybe 5 or 6, also crossing the street, but every shot with him, just by himself, there's no one around. Then he gets hit by a good old Rolls Royce, like Martin McFly in Back to the Future. I called him Chicken.
Yeah. So, something I was curious about, not curious, because I know the answer. Like, he gets hit on the side, like the damage was done to his head.
Look, he had just seen Batman The Dark Knight Rises, and he's like, I want to be Two-Face.
And then he realized both sides were crispy.
Yep.
He absolutely is Two-Face for a good 10 minutes of this movie, because I believe the first time I sent you guys a screenshot saying, what the fuck is this, was when he was in the shower with his wife, wearing bandages across one side of his face.
deep down inside, I know this man is an auteur, and he was just trying to portray his best Phantom of the operating room in that hospital.
Oh, that's good. Shut the fuck up.
Almost as good as that operating room just being his extra bedroom.
Okay, all right. So he's in this operating room or whatever it is, not operating room, but the doctor, like his actual doctor, comes in and says he's in critical condition, unconscious, and it doesn't look good.
Well, he just had to drill in the fact because every other actor and actress in this room were just completely just like, oh, okay.
And then we get the blonde doctor walking in for the first time. This is our first time meeting her, and she just says, as if to no one, he isn't my patient, but I love him.
Oh my God.
She doesn't say that, but she's like, I'm gonna take care of him anyway. I don't know him, but
it was 110% just like Hard to Kill with Steven Seagal. She came in, lifted up the fucking bedsheet, saw the size of his fucking brain ween, and was like,
no.
Well, I mean, maybe that's it. Like, one look at the Breener, and she's like, that's my fateful finding. Credit.
No.
like, let me roll him up to clean his butt and have a good look at them steakums.
Ew! Gross.
No. I'm uncomfortable, guys.
Oh, man, like, we were uncomfortable watching this because, like, every scene with Neil Breen just doing something. It's almost like he's always conniving in some way. Like, he's up to something. He's over there just scheming.
Yeah, very, very skeleton rodent-like.
Do you think, and I'm just comparing the color of their dyed hair and their magical ability to not be able to make a movie in any capacity, do you think he's related to Tommy Wiseau? I think he could be.
I would probably put Neil Breen as a much more successful filmmaker, which is weird to say out loud, because this man has 5 films under his belt, with a 6th coming soon at the time of this recording.
Oh, no.
Tommy Wiseau has 1. You gotta pick one or the other.
Why haven't they collabed?
We need to make this happen. We need to throw enough money at the two of them to have them collaborate together, and then just commit some light arson.
Listen, not a bad idea, but given how they both handle male nudity, it's going to be like a legit 90-minute episode of Naked and Afraid.
Oh my God. Could you imagine just the shower scene, but it's Tommy Wiseau's toned buttock and giant
no
into the Breener as the steakums are rotated around into view as they both go,
your Breener's tearing me apart.
I can never eat steakums again.
Sorry, Jason Statham.
Oh no, you've ruined my brand. Me steakums.
So where are we in this movie? The next thing that I have is that he is dressed and then he disappears like a ghoul.
Yeah, dude, that's the thing that happens in this movie. You're right. I won't combat that. There are these moments where Neil Breen will be in a suit. We don't see him in the suit, really. He just has shots of his feet entering a room, fading away, appearing in another room, and fading in. Just like Scotty would do to you in Star Trek. It's just so fucking absurd. It never comes up as a conversation piece. It's never explained. And it only comes in handy once. Wiggly hand, kinda.
I'll tell you, like, for the majority of this movie, I didn't comprehend that those feet were him. I just thought somebody was, like, stalking him, walking through his home, or, like, standing outside of his door, and then would just disappear. I thought that was, like, a ghost, or an alien, or I don't fucking know.
110%, I'm right there with you. We were going, who the fuck is that? Because he was never wearing the clothes that this ghost figure is riding. I came to the conclusion that since Mr. Breen is such a well-published author, yet he's never writing, and when he is, he's destroying his equipment, this was in fact his ghostwriter going in to do the work for him.
Oh, but he's actually a ghost, and that is unfortunately a much better movie.
Yeah, and that's actually saying something.
Because we do, like I mentioned earlier, we do run in those moments where, like, he brings up an idea, it kind of gets resolved in a way that you can't go back with, so there's, like, no learning a lesson, there's no forward momentum. It's just like, well, this happens, well, okay, here's the result, well, I kind of have this other idea, now this is happening. By the end of the movie, he's gone from godlike figure with Magneto powers, and then all of a sudden he's just a government hacker who has freed the world from all corruption suddenly.
Yeah,
And
something like that happens.
judging by the puns, I feel like I made this incredible leap in logic, but in the movie, that's about 9 minutes.
See, the plot notwithstanding, and we still have a lot to talk about with the plot. What gets me is how incredibly inept everyone in this film is at acting and delivering dialogue. The dialogue itself is another thing to talk about, but man, this acting is some of the worst that I've ever seen in my life, and we have talked about a lot of shitty actors.
We're talking about bad acting. Someone who I
Yeah.
thought, I can't say acted bad, but acted in a way that made Eric and the rest of us who were viewing it at the time, perhaps even yourself, Chandler, stop and go, oh, that's somebody's kid, was the
Yeah.
daughter character as she drops the towel for fucking the bringer. You know that in real life, she is nude. She just dropped this towel. Breen is seeing her in her nudity. Why do I say this? Because whenever he's trying to be a gentleman and reach down to pick up the towel to return it to her, there is a legitimate pause. He
Yeah.
takes a mental snapshot and then hands her the towel.
I actually described that scene to my roommate, just trying to give him an idea of what is happening here. She is in his bathroom and is like running a bubble bath with the door open. She drops the towel right there in front of him, like, hey, you like what you see? He puts his hand to the side of his face, knowing that he is looking ahead at her, and then picks up the towel to, like, slowly... While he's looking at her the whole time, by the way. Like, both in reality and in the movie. Do you know what you have just put on film?
No, he doesn't. But the thing is, I'll give him that credit. I even defended him a little bit during the screening. I was just like, okay, he did the right thing. He might have made a deposit to his spank bank, but he did the right thing.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I feel like the right thing would just be to, like, close the door and be like, oh, okay, bye.
You just shut the door, man.
Yeah.
Oh, he just waltzes in. So, have you seen my magnets?
Oh, and then they're in
Magnet.
that dark.
How do they
fucking room.
work?
He brings in a 2-liter Faygo, too.
God damn it.
Oh. But yeah, this woman... Okay, earlier in the movie, we hear the husband of Boobs say, that's your stepdaughter? And then... But she calls both of them mom and dad.
Yeah. Well, as far as I can put together, the girl in that situation between Ferrari Man and Boobs Lady, that is the father's daughter. And Boobs Lady is like the stepmom. Because when he unfortunately, quote unquote, kills himself, she runs and is like, no, that's my father. He killed himself.
There's a lot of horse shit.
Yeah, it is. It's
Yeah,
a
it
fuck
is.
ton of horse shit, and that's what makes it okay. Because whenever he's dead, number one, the daughter runs in to see what's going on, and this scene is so fucking surreal. It is insane. She runs in, she sees her dead dad. The quote-unquote stepmother is waiting for her cue on camera, visibly waiting for the daughter to react. And when she finally does, you've already saw them stand there paused for about 3 seconds. Then they react. The daughter reacts by going, Dad, no, and spinning like she's trying to juke somebody in a circle.
Yeah,
I mean,
the sort of little wrestling match that she has right there. Like, she's trying to get to her father, who has a gunshot somewhere vaguely in his upper region. And
his head.
who knows? Like, there's no hole, there's just blood.
I mean, you guys are right, but she's throwing some pillow punches because it seems like a situation, at least to me, that the mom was just like, if she lands a hit on me, I'm suing.
Oh, yeah. 100%. 100%. It's, I don't want to get hit. These tits are expensive, and I ain't had them done in a few years.
Oh, Lord. But we cannot skip what I think is my favorite scene in the movie, but calling it a scene is pretty generous. Neil Breen just walks in because he just so happens to be outside the door when this whole thing's happening. And this lady killed her husband in cold blood in front of her daughter. And she's screaming, she did it, she did it. Breen walks in, being the superhero that he is, one glance, and he killed himself, not me. Runs over, grabs his friend, and starts berating him. Why did you do this? Why did you kill yourself? God damn it.
Why did you commit suicide? What? You could never commit suicide. Why would you commit suicide?
Both of you are putting entirely too much emotion into your performances.
Oh, you're
I'm
right.
sorry. I'm a human Breen, so
It's delivered in such a way that it's almost like if your cat peed on the floor or tore something up and you came into the room,
Yeah.
he was like, you walk in, there's your friend with half his head missing, dead on the ground. Jim, how? Jim, how? You wouldn't kill yourself, bad boy.
Is he gonna like rub his nose in the bullet
Yeah.
casing?
Just the one.
Oh, he rubs it on the gun and it fires again.
Well, that probably would have been like the right thing to do, but he's too busy rubbing his body's entrails all over his face and whatnot. Just
Yeah.
How did you do this? Finger paint under my eyes.
oh, Jim, how did you? How'd you do this? What?
Jim, I didn't know you were full of goddamn barbecue sauce.
How's that sweet baby Ray's?
So speaking of that little barbecue they had, this is kind of where everything comes together, right? You know, you got all kinds of stuff going on. You know, everybody's meeting everybody else. Who the fuck sent an invite to the random doctor from the hospital?
Well, even though that Neil Breen was out, probably in a medically induced coma, he could sense how hot she was just from his fucking Breener.
This scene is so fucking worthless, but in the best way. Like, I remember laughing my ass off because there's 4 people at this party, which in all reality, having 4 to 6 people at a party, if they're close friends and it's a small social get-together, is completely okay. But Neil Breen feels the need to overlay this with, like, stadium atmosphere.
I did notice until you told me, but you're absolutely right. He fills all the dead space, all the dead air in the scene with just, like, audience background noise of just, like, people just chattering.
There's another time when he does that, too.
He just starts pumping that shit in just to make sure, like, you know, I'm really cool. I have lots of friend.
But it's really just like, it's like 3 couples and one of their daughters.
Yeah, it's just people.
Yeah.
Who he's banging, for sure.
Unbeknownst to them, I think.
He's probably banging every single one of them, including the doctor's fiance or whatever he is.
Oh, man. Oh, then in that case, that Ferrari is totally his. What a Chad.
Yeah.
Oh, old dude was just cleaning it for him.
He's out there just like, Biff, now don't con me.
Oh, that's what it is. Breen is just rolling through this neighborhood like some fucking big Breener on parade, and he's like, listen, I'm going to come over later, fuck your wife, go wash my car. He's like, oh, God, Breen said to throw water on your tea, that way you had hard nips when he came over, so here we go.
Oh, shit, he's got those Joe Rogan ones, too.
I'm uncomfortable with everything that's being discussed here.
Exactly, and that's what this movie does. You have no clue what's going on throughout the entirety of this film, so you end up, if you have other people there, just making shit up because you're just fucking lost the whole time.
So we mentioned a little bit earlier about the potential pill addiction of his wife, the mail order bride lady, which that's not canonical, by the way. It's just obvious.
There's ups and downs with it. Like, you know, it's like he's addicted, but then she's addicted permanently.
Uh-huh.
He just tosses his pills away, but then she fishes him out. It's a thing, but it's not a thing. Anything to get her fucking killed so Neil Breen can start banging whoever else to make him feel better, fine.
Yeah, I was curious about what made her fish, like, his pills out of the toilet.
That's some good-ass Tylenol. Don't be wasting that shit.
Is she gonna take those pills?
Yeah, it's going to be the last headache she ever gets.
He has some psychological pills that's been prescribed to him by a psychiatrist or something. Maybe it's his agent. I don't know who that guy is still.
About the psychiatric Colonel Sanders?
Sure, yeah, that guy. There's also the neighbor with the boobs. She's addicted to painkillers. And her husband is an alcoholic.
And they all come over to Breen's house because he's got the West Virginia mating call.
Is that the shaky bottle of pills?
Yep.
Pills, baby!
Pills here.
And, the daughter's just trying to get in on that, too. Well, if I take my top off, will you give me, a hydrocodone?
No, that sounds kind of perfect, to be honest. Like, put your clothes back on. I ain't got nothing to give.
Really, he could just do what needed to be done and then say, nah, I'm out until next Tuesday. Come back then.
Oh, like he just has it his way with her. He's like, yeah, I ain't got no pills. Come back later. So I can see how clean you are.
Yeah.
Ooh, no!
Yeah. Go take a dip in the pool.
Yeah. Rodney Dangerfield, get out of here. You're too good for this.
Fucking disgusting role, and it works so good.
Well, despite all the creepiness and like the physical retching that I had to go through to get up until here, or to get to this point, so far the movie has shown us that Neil Breen has powers to do something. His wife is now dead because pills, and now he's freely just banging this woman whom he knows from his childhood in the middle of forest somewhere. But also, there's a little bit of a subplot of him hacking into the government.
Yeah, we say that's a subplot, but that's, I mean, according to the tagline or whatever you want to call that, that's like the plot.
It almost feels like the rest of the movie is filler. Because the movie doubles down on the whole just like him on a soapbox at Washington. There's just like a thing behind him. There's like a building with pillars, and he's like, I've hacked into the government deeper than any other hacker ever. I have evidence. And he has like a real smug ass look on his face.
Yeah, he is standing there in front of 5 microphones in front of an obviously green screened in Supreme Court building. And this is the other scene that I was talking about, where he's going through his, I have evidence right here on this little magnetic square that the government has committed atrocities and these industries are committing crimes. They are lying and cheating. Yeah. And everyone's like, we totally didn't know that ever.
It's a scene that I could chalk up to, like, if it ended with someone saying, like, sir, this is a Wendy's, I'd be fucking pleased. But this man's soapbox rant is so unequivocally effective. Like, all the bad people are just like, wait a minute, I'm bank CEO. I guess not only do I quit to absolve myself of any guilt on my conscience, I'm also going to blow my brains out, and you'll never see me again.
On live television.
Yeah, they go Arba Dwyer, like, one after the other.
Well, at least Bud let us see it. In this one, they get killed in an edit.
And you got the one lady who just decides to end it in her garage with the car running.
Oh, no, she rolls the window up.
Yeah.
This is going to take longer.
In the garage.
Gotta turn the AC on. It's getting hot in here. She turns on the radio. It's like, oh no. I'd planned on going out to White Rabbit, but the only station I get is talk radio. Republican talk radio.
Hosted by Neil Breen.
Oh.
Yes. But they really, really, really saved the bit that made me laugh the hardest for the very end. His assassination attempt.
Oh my god.
Cursor, like he's getting shot on lethal enforcers.
Yeah.
And that's your marker. I lost my shit at that scene.
Yeah, I remember very vividly pointing at the screen and laughing like an idiot because that little crosshair emblem, I know for a fact, is just the default crosshair thing you get on Photoshop. So that was just an overlay that he made.
Hell yeah. So do we know who shot the sniper? Is that one of his buddies that's still alive? Does he have any friends that are still alive?
It was Steve Buscemi from Billy Madison. I apologize to that guy.
Could it have been the blonde doctor?
It's either something logical like that, or the bank CEO that killed himself was such a good shot, he took out himself and the sniper in a single shot.
Hey man, nice shot.
Yep. No, it's just Demon Knight.
Also, did you guys like how the one guy with the mask kidnaps her with peroxide? That's definitely a bottle of peroxide. That's nothing other than peroxide.
Maybe like he was just like a random neighborhood dude, like, oh, she's got a little bump on her lip. I can help you with that so you don't get an infection. Oh no.
What got me was just whenever he's kidnapping her in general. I remember looking at Eric and going, but why?
Why isn't she struggling? She's like just trying to walk past him, and he's like there in a mask and like gloves and this substance that he's obviously going to put on your face, and she's just like, "Oh no, excuse me. We're doing a little dance. Let's."
She was like that because like that's how she ended up with Breen. That's not her first rodeo.
She didn't try and scream at all, not once.
Well, he knows that screaming makes him harder.
I've heard about that.
You don't have to be lonely at victimsonly.com.
Oh,
ooh.
No.
I gotta look that up.
Start slamming the keyboard. I'm typing in here. I'm typing in here.
Trying to find my next pill-addled bride.
By the way, one thing that we didn't talk about at all, just the ridiculousness that happens when he is interrupted in his work. It's like, oh, something happens. I'm going to throw books at my laptop. Then I'm going to toss papers in the air just wildly for no reason.
Maybe it's just like one of those schizophrenic fellas. Like, they just, as long as he's just pretending that he's typing and writing books, he's okay. But if he's reminded of the real world, just shit hits the fan. He just starts going crazy, having a manic moment.
That's how this whole thing feels, is like a manic moment. At the end, you're like, what the fuck did I just watch? And what else did he make? Because I think I'm in.
I got so much glee, so much joy in just watching this train wreck operate. It's like, not only did it derail, explode, and wipe Ohio off the map, but it still had the courage to truck on up that hill of burning wreckage to just find some sort of message to shit out at the end before the credits. Yes, this whole thing feels like I'm driving by an accident, but man, just go again.
Well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, I guess, because I thought this movie was absolute garbage. It gets compared a lot to The Room for all the right reasons. It's one man's pursuit to make a great film or something like that. And man, Tommy Wiseau is just a much better filmmaker than this guy as far as I'm concerned. The dialogue is awful. The acting is terrible. The direction is terrible. No one knows what they're doing here in any capacity. I'm glad that someone had enjoyment out of this because I thought this was abhorrible.
And there you have it. That was Fateful Findings from 2013, if you could believe it. If you have any strong feelings about the movie or the show, leave it in that comment section below.
Make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons. Be sure to hit that bell icon down there too, so you don't miss what we've got brewing up next.
Get out there and follow us on the social medias. We got that Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Reddit. You can find us anywhere podcasts are available. We're pretty funny. Give us a chance.
By the way, you guys like how it started out as a storage unit and ended up being a horse trailer? We didn't mention that.
I think that just perfectly describes this whole movie.